Alright, I believe I'm live. Hello everyone, welcome to this stream. Hello. We are doing fantastic today. I know I'm doing well. You know how I know that? I'm home and it's almost New Year's. 15 minutes to go before we're in a new year, 2024. Good lord. Fearless, welcome. Matthew Gordon. Hello to you too. Hello to you both. I hope you are all doing fantastic today. Follow me. Share the stream in one other place. Alright, I'm just harassing a couple people. There we go. Alright, boom. I've shared it where I have to. Shadow Fox, welcome. Hello. You got whiskey? So doing good. Good. Don't get too wasted. The sauce is good for you, but not in great amounts. Daniel Lindsay, hello. This is gonna be the thing I'm saying all day. Yeah, I only got home from work a little while ago, but gonna jump right into streaming until I more or less get super tired and pass out. Working on the Maulerfiend, which good news is the most important colors are now on there. The Cornate color is covered over pretty well. I did my best to stay in the lines, but obviously, you know, you can see, especially as I got down here and it got a little tighter for space, I ended up nicking a lot of the Runelord brass. So I am going to have to reapply that a little bit, and that's probably where we're going to start, is with some Runelord. Apply that to some of my F-up areas, and then we will then move on to the other colorations. Quite frankly, it's well within possibility to get this done today, which I hope to be able to do. So let's get this on the vet palette. Yeah, nice and thick. Here we go. Oh. Yeah, I've been making pretty good progress. I'm still very proud of that base, but I'm hoping the contrast between these two actually works. My fear, at least as I look at it, like this is basically where he's gonna look like a little bit. If I adjust him here, I'm worried that that alien purple terrain might contrast a little too strongly with the Runelord gold and red look. I don't know. I'm hoping it's complementary, but I am fearful it might be a tad disorienting, which is not my goal. But anywho, can't stress about it too much. Been a while since the last time I was able to watch a stream with time zones. True that. Yeah, that's right. Aren't you? I think you're on the opposite end of the world of me, aren't you? Hey, Jenny. Good morning. Well, actually, I almost said good morning. It's not morning yet, technically. Good evening, Jenny. Are you excited for the new year? Right, first place. Mr. Angry Roly Poly, indeed. Angry Roly Poly is indeed on his way to completion, at least. Try my best not to nick the red. Try my best not to have to add more work for myself. Should be pretty easy to fix up most of these spots. Most of them I hit because of the tightness of the areas. Like that pauldron area. Probably don't need to worry about too much. Alfarius, good... Why do I keep wanting to say good morning? It's not morning. Asmo, it's not morning, you stupid idiot. It's fucking 11:58 at night. Most people apparently don't even consider midnight morning. I've heard that a lot from people. Say, no, that's still nighttime. It's like, well, not really. It's the next day. It's technically morning. No, it's not. Why? Because you're still up at that time? Yeah, and it's not morning. I know. I've actually argued with my mom about that ad nauseum. It's morning somewhere in the world. It's kind of like that old argument for drinking. Ah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Yeah, most people are partying and drinking right now. What am I doing? Painting a Maulerfiend. And quite frankly, I think I'm doing the more productive and fun thing. Personally. Are we all doing great? I am doing pretty good. How about you, Alferdes? It's morning somewhere. Oh my god, Jesus. You all are saying that. As a Night Lord... It's not morning till the cursed sun rises. I suppose. Your vampiric asses and emo asses will be like, oh no, sunlight! I must get on my goth makeup. My foundations... oh, the mascara. It's going. Oh my god. I can't torture people like this. Chill hope 2024 is the best year it can be for everyone. True. And that goes right back at you, my good lady. You deserve a much better and good year. So I hope you get that. I hope 2024 is amazing for us all, but especially for those of us who are having a harder time. It is an improved year, is always the hope. Well, that is why we celebrate the new year, my friends. It is to find a source of hope over the horizon. To look upon the future with positivity, with an outlook of hope. Which is why we have to do it sloshed out of our minds, drinking every known booze around us, because that helps see that brightness. Until the alcohol wears off. You actually was goth in high school? Really? Like, did you actually do, like, did you dye your hair black, wear the heavy-ass mascara, the pale-ass foundation? Did you do that? If so, I commend you. I don't know. I never did that shit. I was edgy. I say I was. I guess I still am, technically. But I was edgy and still am when I was in high school. I certainly had somewhat of a mindset of, like, the goths. Keep in mind, not the historical goths, but the really cringe teenager goth. I was always like, oh my god, those posers. I don't think I ever said that exact line, but more or less. You know, the goths from South Park was pretty much me. Minus the makeup, minus, like, the aesthetic. I looked like a normal teen, but had the mindset of, like, disliking a lot of people. And in my defense, I stand by my dislike of some of them, because I disliked, like, I hated the cheer squad. Like, they were so fucking annoying. I stand by that. I think I was entirely justified in my dislike of them, and I will not apologize. Gossiping fucking twats. And it was, and don't think that's a sexist thing, because there was 3 guys on my high school cheer team, and they were just as much of a gossipy bitches. Haven't pillaged any Roman cities. Posers. Hello, Zoid Industries. How are you doing this fine evening? Excited for the new year? 6 more minutes, folks. 6 more minutes until the year changes over to 2024. Wait, did I nick the inside of that portrait again? I don't think so. Yeah, I'll try and get in there again with the... I think it'll be fine. Not gonna stress about it. In high school, there was someone who said the phrase, "That's so mainstream." I mean, every generation has had that kind of like you've always had like the the products of the culture of the time, and then you had like the anti-culture folks of the time. Like there's always been people who wanted to subvert like the established what's the status quo. You know, people want to push back against the man and push back. You know, it's where like, you know, the rock and roll scene came from. It's where punk came from. It's where hip hop, you know, kind of hit in. Like every like major like entertainment sphere pretty much was birthed from people who were sick and tired of the mainstream and wanted to go their own way. And so many other people kind of felt the same. Like they felt like they wanted to make their own identity and it didn't fall in with everything else. So they ended up being like super edgy or super, you know, out of the norm. At least in the 90s and 80s, people were cool about it, you know? Like, those cultural subversion groups were cool. The modern day one is a bunch of kids wanting to be TikTok and nerds and shit. I say nerds. They want to be stars and popular on social media and ugh. Please bring back the freaking really super edgy goths, please. I would appreciate having them as opposed to those assholes. Looking for any other obvious screw up spots. There's one. Nerds. Indeed. I always liked being a nerd. Now most of those people are the mainstream. I mean, that's kind of the fate of the subversive culture, right? Like a culture of subversion is produced because the culture at the time they feel oppressed by or they feel downtrodden by, so they create a, you know, the anti status quo culture. That anti-status quo culture becomes super popular, becomes marketable, then gets pushed and pressed everywhere, and then eventually it becomes the mainstream. And then once it becomes mainstream, it then starts following the rules of mainstream, completely losing any and all identity of its subversive nature. And then it becomes the culture. And then the new anti or subversive culture teen tween group to come for the next generation are now basically emulating the culture that those people who would now become the mainstream were oppressed, quote unquote, oppressed by. So, you know, we're gonna see an ever cycling circle with this shit. It's why, weirdly enough, in its own way, the subversive culture to be at the moment is a really down-to-earth kind of not I'm gonna say Christian because that's the one that comes to mind, but it's not inherently attached to one specific religion, but more of a religious, more composed person, less crass. Weirdly enough, being that is now the subversion. That is the subversive culture now. Because the mainstream culture is a bunch of wacky nut jobs going to parades absolutely fucking naked with children. So now what's considered the subversive culture is that, you know, the world is weird at the moment. It's very fucking weird. But let's not talk about that. In mere moments, ladies and gentlemen, in less than a minute, we will be having the new year. Be prepared, be prepared. This lesson must be shared, be prepared. Alright, let me touch up this a little bit here. Oh, it's here, ladies and gentlemen, the new year! Well, in my time zone. I'm sure some of you are still behind, some of you are ahead. It's already been the new year, but for me, New Year! The year is 2024! Yay! Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Sorry, I would have prepared like sparks and shit, but I don't want to light my bookshelf on fire. Seems a bit extreme for the new year. But congratulations to you all for surviving another 365 days. May we all do it again this coming year. Happy New Year from the future. Happy New Year from the current. I mean, it's 2 hours off. I will remind me in 2 hours to say Happy New Year to you yet again. What the fuck did I do with my brush? Oh, I left it in the book. Alright, so I'm trying to eyeball the worst offending spots here. It's mostly the pauldron area that's really fucked up. 3 hours for you? 16 hours ahead. Just do another new year every hour. Probably wise. It's like Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Like 15 Happy New Years by the end of the stream. But for me, it is now officially 1 minute after the new year. We are now in the year 2024. It feels weird we're living in the sci-fi era. Like, so many movies I grew up with as a kid had, like, 2019, 2020, all based in, like, the future. Like, oh, we were gonna have flying cars and holograms everywhere and robots and stuff. Only part of that is kind of true. We definitely have robots everywhere. We definitely have voice-activated, you know, phones and shit. Touchscreen technology. Some of the sci-fi shit we predicted we have. Unfortunately, not all the coolest shit. We only have, like, really basic stuff at the moment. Hopefully the whole flying car thing will be figured out in, I don't know, next 50 years. Give or take. Sorry, I'm going track here. You don't want the standard driver in a flying car that either terrifies you. I mean, to be fair, like, driving on the ground, we humans haven't exactly perfected, so I can understand why that would be kind of scary. We still haven't even figured out autopilot on the fucking ground yet. I got a friend of mine who uses his cruise control like an autopilot. What colors do you recommend for painting a salamander's army? I'm going, well, green. Like, green. Lots of green. Yeah, salamanders are typically green and black, I think. I see a lot of green and black is usually the normal mix. I mean, I've seen pretty creative, like, mixtures of stuff for, like, salamanders, but obviously base color green. Not Death Guard green, more of a firmer green, like a forest green, I'd say. You're looking for that? A vibrant green. Another way to put it. Green, black, red, and yellow. Yeah. Or gold. You know, it's, you know, depending on the situation, you can cycle in gold trim or gold elements for where you might do yellow. But yeah, generally main color green, then black for a lot of other elements, and then you can mix in some red here and there and some yellow. Yeah, generally that's the color mix. I mean, I'm not sure. It's interesting being asked that question for the salamanders because they're pretty straightforward. Playtesting the future in percent, which is the best to you. Playtesting the future in the percent, which is the best to those in the time zone ahead where I'm at. Okay. I'm in the paints available in Citadel and Vallejo. Ah. Well, for Vallejo, it's just a matter of getting the mixology right for even if you don't have a specific color. Keep in mind with paints, the beauty of them is if you don't have the exact color you want, just mix the colors you do have to create the color you're looking for. I'd say start with a base of Goblin Green for Vallejo, and then depending on how vibrant you're looking for, also it depends on how you're like doing the color application. Like you might base coat it, and then you want to add like layering with some glazing to make it like brighter towards the lighter areas or more exposed armor points to simulate light. You know, I don't know what you're planning on, but really just base colors. Probably Goblin Green with a slight touch of Flash Kits Yellow or an equivalent Vibrant Yellow. Mix those together, and then there you go. You got a base coat for Salamanders. So there's lots of answers I can give you. Like, there's no one specific, like, this is exactly what you should do. It also depends on what exactly you're looking to do with your salamanders. Alright. Seem to have nicked the armor down here at some point. Thank you, no problem. Hope it helps. So is anybody else working on minis right now? I hope so. Make sure you get that hobby on. Yeah, make sure to get this live stream out of the way. Because tomorrow I'm gonna be relaxing in the morning because I'm gonna need it. Like today was rough at work. I'm not gonna like drag the stream down by talking about like, oh, woe was me, work sucked. But I'll just say that work was rough. So I'm gonna take tomorrow morning and just maybe sleep in. But once I have gotten my necessary rest, I'm gonna try and hammer out more of the Black Templar video. I was actually hoping to do that a little bit this weekend, but I got a surprise visit from my nephew. So I couldn't he's tongue-tied. He stayed down here with me, like in my apartment. So because he was down here with me, you know, my studio little setup is in the corner. I couldn't just, you know, record audio and stuff while he was right there because yeah, he's making noise, he's doing what he's doing, and I didn't want to like tell him, hey, be silent for the next like 3 hours while I record audio. That could come off as a bit rude. So I decided to postpone working on anything while he was here and just hang out and keep him company. Give him his Christmas presents. You know, we got all that fun stuff out of the way. But now that he is headed home, I can get back to work on some video stuff. Hopefully make good progress. I really want to get that Black Templar video out of the way. I dread the editing stage. That's why I'm not going to promise you guys it'll be done soon. We're looking at maybe a month away. Because the script alone, editing aside, will probably take to record. This is totally spitballing, but probably take me about 12 hours to get all the audio recorded. Keep in mind, it's not because it's just raw reading the script. There's just that much. There is quite a lot. I have like 15, 16 pages of straight just, you know, the write-up of the script for the lore video. But even that aside, it's also I'm factoring in my mistakes. I have a habit of fucking up when I'm recording audio. Havoc, how you doing? Happy New Year. How you doing? Hope you're doing fantastic. Yes, it just turned New Year 9 minutes ago for me. I really hope the year 2024 is an upswing. Nah, chilling until passing out. Fair enough, Daniel. It's black and yellow in the war for Badab. 1989. Demon Engine later if my nephew goes to bed on time. Ah. I'm assuming your nephew is not drinking, although I don't know I don't know how old your that situation is. He could be an adult for all I know. So he's not drinking. He'll probably stay up for a while. Alcohol tends to knock your ass out. Has anyone else had that invasive thought while they're painting? You know, if I ever did a surgery, I think I'd do pretty good with it because of how good I am with this brush. That's a random thought that's approached my mind while I'm painting a mini. Is I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty good at this detailed work. I'm pretty good at the careful application of this paint job. I don't know, if this was a scalpel, I think I'd do pretty good in a surgery. I don't know, maybe that's my brain going weird places, but I've had that thought a couple times. Opposite for me, I'd feel sorry for the patient if I was a surgeon. I mean, yeah, fair. There's another way you could, for me, it could be an ego thing. I'm just yeah, I'm good, you know. I know what I'm doing. I'm just that talented. Oh, there's a fuck up spot. Gotta make sure I find all of them before I apply washes. Because once I apply the wash, I'm hoping not to have to reapply any of the red or gold again. Your heart goes on this side, right? It was on the left side, wasn't it? No, it was on the right side. Wait, what? Dude, we need a diagram for this. Illumi, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Undead Nerd, welcome. Looks pretty badass. Thank you. I'm making pretty good progress. I'm glad that the base is all done. You know, I still I greatly appreciate it. I think it was Yokai yesterday who recommended it, but I was thinking about doing something similar with a gold dry brush, but I think I prefer what we ended up doing with the black rocks with a dry brush of silver. You know, I think that really complements for the base. So. Oh, can't wait to get this guy mounted when he's ready to go. But at the moment, just doing a little corrective surgery. Yeah, hitting anywhere I might have accidentally nicked with the red. Making sure it looks nice and beautiful. That way, I don't feel bad when I play with it on the tabletop. I want everybody to look at it and go, wow, that looks cool. And not, wow, this guy doesn't know how to paint because I can see the gold and the red and the red and the gold. Did this guy ever learn how to paint in the lines? Go! Happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year to you too, Illumi. I hope you are, if you are drinking, I hope you're drinking responsibly, and if you're not, I hope you are enjoying the evening to the fullest of your capability. I'll cut this part, right? Oops. That's probably one thing you never want to ever hear from an ambulance crew or from a doctor. Oops. When they're out, he's like, what? Why'd you say oops? Why? No! How dare you! Now the opponent, my army are Grey Knights, in that I left them all grey plastic. How about you? The Grey Army for the win. You know, puts on sunglasses. Do 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 do. I think I got all the nick to put. No, I didn't. It's always when I'm about to say that I immediately like, oh no, there's about. Just a little bit OCD helps. Well, it doesn't help to make further progress, but it helps to be, you know, very neat in your work. I'm just a tad bit OCD about cleanliness of my work. Yeah, I don't think it needs to be absolutely perfect, but I'd like it to be, you know, decent. The circle? Oh, there. Yeah, it's a bit of an empty spot. I'm thinking about doing something to it, but not sure what yet. The debate is speaking my mind. What to do with this area here. It is worthy of some kind of addressment. I'm just not sure what at the moment. Eyeball. Eye of Sauron style. Maybe. I mean, it's got a guiding line, technically, to help me with that if I want to do that. Yeah, why not? I'll take a break from doing the... Well, do I want to do that before or after applying a wash? I think I'll do it after a wash. Yeah, get everything with a wash and then paint that like over that spot. So continue doing my corrective painting. No matter what, I know I'm gonna miss at least like one spot. I just didn't think to check thoroughly enough. The nature of the beast, as it were. Gotta say, you do some pretty damn good paint jobs. The details are amazing. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I try to do my best. I tend to be a very detail-oriented person. At least I like to think so. Come on. I mean, you know, using some other example, like Sanguinius, for example. You know, I was pretty detailed with Sanguinius. You know, I did a base coat of blue for the wings, and I dry brushed on a lot of white. That way it would give it like a nice fade color to it. You know, I made sure to do little spots and stuff on the tiger pelt. You know, I did a little eyeball underneath that. You know, it was a pretty good example of detail work. And same with numbnuts here. Yeah. I did a speed painting video on this guy too, so. But yeah, this is all hand painted, by the way. No, I have one now. I have like a little mobile airbrush. I've not used it yet. I'm nervous using it because I've never used an airbrush, like of any kind. So I still tend to want to avoid it. I use like wet blending instead, dry brushing. I tend to avoid using an airbrush where possible because I'm just so used to, you know, doing stuff without necessarily having to rely on an airbrush. So, you know, this is the kind of stuff I tend to do on the norm. Yep. I am very, 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 very hobby oriented. Man, I'm old. My bones crack every time I move.
Just send me off to my death. You might as well. I'm dying as we speak. I'm an old man, dying.
You remember that stream? I'm glad you do. Yeah. I've said in the past, but if I could make a living painting minis, I would. Because I do enjoy this detail-oriented work. I like the calming effect of looking for every nook and cranny or mistakes and stuff I could touch up and fix. It's my bread and butter of love. That's why I do it for fun. Hello, kiddo. Hello, Hoach. Welcome to stream. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's to you as well. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals, and Happy New Year. Oh, Christmas was a while ago. But Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Yes, we're now in the year 2024. Yet another year of the sci-fi. Unfortunately, we only have the boring shit from sci-fi. We have none of the fun stuff. God damn it, when do I get my power swords and my lightsabers? I'm gonna have dystopian, crippling, like, oppressive regimes and shit. Can I at least get the cool shit as well? Where's the fucking phase guns? Speaking of, if you guys have not seen Demolition Man, you should look it up. It is an awesome film. I rewatch it like every year. to remind myself how we knew where shit was going years ago. Just didn't know. Good night, everyone, and Happy New Year to you all. Alright, have a good one, Daniel. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you had a good time. Hope you dream well and see nothing but... I don't know what your proclivities are, but assuming your proclivities, I hope you see nothing but voluptuous women in your dreams. If your proclivities are for men, I hope you see... I don't know, lots of casual bulges. Have a good time. Yeah, that movie's awesome. Chef's Kiss. Yes. Although you said Chef Kiss with Chief Kiss, apparently. Like a tribal chief? I think... Unless my eyeballs are deceiving me. I have nicked all the nicking. I have not. I immediately, of course, as I say that, see where I need to make some corrections. There's these little spots that you barely see, but still the fact that I know that they're there, I need to correct them. Gotta hop off, but I'm glad I got to see a little bit of your stream. Well, I'm glad you stopped by, and I am glad I caught a little bit of your wondrous and very, very engaging interaction. Hope you have a great rest of your new year. And have a good one. Acknowledge our warhammer chief, Asmogan. May he lead us into glorious battle. Indeed. I will lead you all. Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make. Have you seen the new Old World stuff? I'm kind of excited. I've seen the Tomb King stuff. The sculpts on the skeletons was very cartoony. I don't know if those are supposed to be... I don't know, mind you. I know for the Old World stuff, from what I've heard, a lot of the old stuff, they're like literally the old stuff, like the old sculpts, they're reproducing and selling back in the market. So the skeleton soldiers and stuff I saw, I'm assuming the molds and the sculpts are the old sculpts. That they haven't completely re-released the line and redid everything. Yeah, it's most in white metal. Okay, so there you go. So that doesn't surprise me. So okay, so that explains the sculpts, because I saw a lot of the skeleton warriors, and my first thought was that looks straight out of a Disney movie. Like the skeleton warriors looked. I want to say I'm trying to remember the name of the film. Coco, maybe. I don't know if that's the name of the film. There was a Mexican themed was either Pixar or Disney. Mexican themed, like it was very family oriented. Most of the it was like showing like the afterlife and stuff like that. I'm trying to remember the fucking name. It was a good movie. I really liked it. Shoot, was that Coco? Okay, so yeah, they looked like the skeletons from Coco. Like that was the first thing that popped in my head when I saw the new Old World Tomb Kings Skeleton Warriors. Was that I was like, okay. They looked super cartoony, so I couldn't take them seriously, but I get that it was probably a limitation of bringing back old sculpts, and they're just gonna they're gonna look old. Like the meme with the skeleton with 2 machine guns. No, because even those looked more realistic towards skeletons than the Tomb King Skelly Boys that they're reintroducing the line of. They look straight cartoony, but that's fine. I mean, they're miniatures. There's only so much detail you can put on them, especially if you're taking the old sculpts. So who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll release like better looking sculpts in the future. But it's good enough that they're just bringing back the old line. I'm sure plenty of people will be fine with that, and I have no skin in that game, so I'm happy for all the old world crowd that are excited. I am, genuinely. It's good that the old world crowd are getting catered to and aren't being forced to accept Sigmar. Because I know a huge chunk of old world folks really hated the end times, really hated what they chose to do with it. I can't blame them. And from what little I have been explained to, being an outsider in that particular conversation, I'm an insider when it comes to 40k. Like, with every 40k discussion, I probably have something to say about it. But with fantasy, which is just right adjacent to it, same company, same manufacturer, same a lot of things, but you immediately lose me with those conversations because I have no stake in that game. But from what little I was told about end times for Old World, yeah, I can see why a lot of people completely abandoned the game. I cannot blame anyone for that one. I would not have stuck around for such bullshit. Yeah, so from what I could tell, the first set of armies that they're bringing back are Britannia, and they're next to them. They're also bringing back the Tomb Kings. I think that they're the first like volley, and then after that, they're going to be releasing steadily throughout the years plus the rest of the Old World armies, including orcs, including the Dawi, including everybody else. I don't know who the whole list of first volley is, but Tomb Kings and Britannia are the first set. Good spots I gotta clean up again. Every time I think I cleaned up enough of the gold, then the red's like, hey, I'm fucked up too. Okay. Couple of spots to hit with the red, and then I'll finally actually move on. And by move on, I'm gonna apply the washes. Now, normally, when it comes to painting minis, you apply the wash when you're done everything. Like the wash is the final stage, and then maybe you do some like highlights and details after that. But usually, washes are the second to last or last thing you do. But in this case, I'm gonna do a Raking Flesh Shade complete overwash, let that dry, and then fill in the details of everything else, and then do individual spot washes for specific things like the lead belcher areas. We'll get none oil. I'm gonna have some flesh bits, obviously, like within the musculature of the demon engines. So That'll probably get Raking flesh shade as well. Maybe I should also hit Raking. Maybe I should do the flesh first then. Yeah, I'll do the flesh first. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, might as well do that. Do that first. Because I'm gonna do a complete coverage with Raking flesh shade anyway. Doesn't really make sense to skip out on that. Your warhammer knowledge is vast, but one particular I don't understand is the painting you're doing, Asmo. What is this of? This is a Maulerfiend. The Maulerfiends are demon engines for Chaos Space Marines in 40k. So this is an engine of war. Typically, the Iron Warriors are the ones who run those a lot. Usually, they run Forge Fiends and similar type demon engines. But Maulerfiends are perfectly in line to be used by World Eaters. In fact, Maulerfiends are more aesthetically appropriate for World Eaters, and lore-wise, it's still friendly, because World Eaters still use demon engines. But Iron Warriors are, like, the most prevalent with them. So... Now, what flesh tone do I want to go with? I'm probably going to go with the flesh tone I already have on my painting palette. My wet palette, which is super watery at the moment. It's also goopy. Fuck. Can you be both watery and goopy? That's gross. Okay. Alright, so this whole area here is full of shit. These lights are super aggressive. Maybe I should turn one of them off. Now it's getting all fuzzy. Yeah, maybe go with relaxed light. See if that helps. Yeah, because with all the metallic bits, this is super reflective. Okay, I typically use the Astartes, and for my niche army, I only bring out some. If someone is worthy enough to face, I break down my vampire count army. Okay. So you use your vampire counts when you play, I assume, Age of Sigmar, and your Astartes when you play 40k. Or am I misunderstanding what you're saying? But I'm assuming safely you don't use the vampire counts in 40k. Unless you mean Night Lords. Bretonia and Dark Elves. Out of the fantasy factions that I've looked into, I like the Dawi. They're the only ones I know like extensive lore about, because, well, I like dwarves. Shocker, I know. I'm sure none of you could have guessed that. What, Asmo? You like dwarves? You don't say. Could never have guessed. Absolute insanity. Next you're going to say you like orcs. You're in for a shock. Yeah, with how reflective that light is, damn. I'm doing a super light flush tone at the moment. Like pale flush tone, effectively. More for all that gold reflecting all that light. Maybe I could get a better picture of the camera. But now I suppose I will have to make do. Got a backup army and a Tomb King army. Gotcha. So which Astartes army do you run, what's that, Kiko? Kiddo. Yeah, an OG Blood Dragon army for Vampire Council. Ooh. Yeah, this is where my lack of knowledge comes in. I'm not sure how unique that is or how not unique that is. So 2 buttons mean Forge Fiend versus Maulerfiend, Wiping Sword. It's actually pretty easy depending on your... Like, if you're playing World Eaters like me, Maulerfiend every day. You would not run a Forge Fiend. Not that you can't, but you wouldn't. Like, no self-respecting World Eaters player is going to run a Forge Fiend over a Maulerfiend. Now you might run a Forge Fiend and a Maulerfiend, but you never do... Well, unless you're trying to do meta play and you're trying to... You know, you're trying to win the tournament. You know, like some weirdo trying to win. How you think you are? Special? Jokes aside. But, yeah. Aesthetically and for, like, theme of the army, you want to go Maulerfiend. Like, that devastating amount of damage you can do once it gets up close and personal is great. It's funny, like, the 2 biggest armies I'm planning to run. Orcs, which are my main army, which I already have thousands of point painted. And now World Eaters that I'm working on. Both are hyper aggressive and their specialty is melee. That looks white on camera, but it's actually closer to a really pale flesh tone. Basically, the Blood Dragons were knights turned vampires, but still held onto their chivalry oaths. That's actually kind of badass. So they're undead, but they're still knights. It's like a skeleton rides into town. Like, your town's being raided by orcs and goblins. You know, your shit's being stolen. Orcs are trying to, like, crump you and beat you down to size. All of a sudden, knights ride in and start chasing them off. off, and you're like, "Thank you, Sir Knight," and you look up, and it's a skeleton, and just its Skeletor's voice. This is nothing for the great knight of Shinamo. I am here. You're welcome, dear peasant. Now bow to your new lord. Then they run away, then the knights look to each other. I say, Sir Reginald, did they just run away from us? We saved them. Indeed you're right. Indeed you're right. But unfortunately we are dead. Yes, indeed. But at least we can be joyful about it. Why would we be joyful about it? Well, we got funny bones. Rides after the rest of the goblins. See, this is why I'm a dungeon master. I just have dumb shit to say. Might as well do it to entertain other people. I'm doing my second coat here. I'm gonna do that. Fire warriors anyway. Not because it's a bad paint, but because I often have to paint it around shit. Well, 10th since the HQs to Legend, not even data sheets of Space Marines, I'm painting. Hold on, did I misread that? Well, 10th since the HQs to Legend, not even data sheets. Space Marines, I'm painting. I feel like I missed a comment. Did you leave a comment before that I missed? I got a PCB holder with LED magnifier for Christmas. Very handy for checking that. I got a metallic paints on. Sent. Oh, okay, that completely changed. Okay, my bad. Okay, so well 10th sent the HQs to Legends, not even data sheets of Space Marines I'm painting. Ah. I mean, you can still use them in non-tournaments. I mean, it's the upside with Legends, as they're not completely out of the game. I sense a cat has come to disturb me. No, I'm painting. I can't pick you up and pet you because if your hair gets on this fucking paint palette, I'll kill you. No. No, this is not the time for cuddles. No. No. I'm trying to be cute. Yeah. To protect my paint palette. There you go. We will be away from my painting area. You absolute demon. This is my cat. He is a bastard. Well, technically you are, I guess. Your litter wasn't exactly planned, and your dad wasn't exactly a local chosen cat. So you are a little bit of a bastard, unironically. Believe it or not, he doesn't actually mind this. For some reason, he likes being patted on his belly. Yeah, now you want to leave me alone. You noticed the camera, didn't you? You went, oh no, I have not licked myself clean. I am not prepared for the camera. Why did you just call the cat a cat? Don't you call your cat a cat? All cats are bastards. I mean, yes. I did snuggle him, briefly. But once he realized it was the camera, he ran away. He's not very photogenic. Photogenic? Not photogenic, I think is the right word. this is kind of what the flesh tone looks like without the aggressive light on. But even then, that's not exactly helping. Yeah, with that light on, it just looks white. But hopefully the wash will correct it even in the camera. Those are all cats. Screw primaries. Yeah, I mean, I feel... Oh, God. I will not forget covering the news that, officially speaking, Firstborn were nuked. And not just 3 months before. GW straight up fucking lied while they were, you know, during the announcement that box dreads were getting retired. Like, when that was released, and they were also doing, like, Sternguard vets at the time, they insisted that there wasn't some grand scheme to phase out Firstborn Marines. They straight up said that in that news. They said that directly because they knew that was a fear people were going to have when they were retiring the box dreads and they were retiring the Sternguard vets, the base models. They knew that was going to be the fear. They knew, so they made sure to address it in their announcement of it and said, "Don't worry, you can still play an entirely non-Primaris army should you so choose." And they said, and they even listed several of the Firstborn kits that were still available. Fast forward 3 months, the whole fucking line gets nuked, just short of the Tactical Marines. That is literally the only fucking set that they did not retire and discontinue in that fucking announcement. And all I thought while reading that was, so y'all lied. It was literally that meme of the guy going, so that was a fucking lie. You fucking bastards. They even, the way they said it too, it's like, don't worry, or if, you know, for those of you who don't dare accept our fucking Primaris, you can still play Firstborn Marines without having to field a single Primaris. Kiss my ass, you fucking bastards. You knew 3 months prior what you were going to do in 3 months' time. They just straight up lied to everybody because they knew if they announced it then, the backlash would be immediate. They just want to stave it off, prepare themselves for it. Fucking bastards. They're the only, like, fan base that hates the company that produces the product that we all love more than us 40k fans / fantasy fans. Warhammer Fantasy. I'd say is probably the Wizards of the... People who play Magic the Gathering. They probably... I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of stands for Magic the Gathering within the... for Wizards of the Coast in the Magic the Gathering community. I don't know. But... I gotta think that even they fucking hate Wizards of the Coast pretty extensively. I would. I go to bravely struggle with my pile of stuffed animals and pillows. Alright, catch you later, Jenny. I hope your stuffed animals bring you much soft comfort. After having seen the VOD of your previous stream, I'm sure you haven't heard how I got into 40k. In fact, I would wager it's as unique as how you got into 40k. Well, I don't know how I got in is unique. It's not the most common story, so I guess it is, but I don't know. Feel free to share how you got in. And thank you for watching the previous VOD. I recommend everybody do that. I tend to think that the streams are good to check out in hindsight as well as live. Of course, I would prefer you all be here live, but I think it's just as viable the other way around. Yeah. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway. So non-vehicle firstborn generic kits. There is 4 tactical marines, Terminator assault squad, not for much longer, Vanguard vets, and Devastator squads. I thought the dev squads got taken out. Or was I wrong? I know tactical marines are still pretty much like it. Especially for like baseline infantry. The moment they nuked assault squads, I think we all knew things were fucked. I have heard the argument that it's perfectly okay because the Horse Heresy models are being produced. But it's not the same. Like, those old kits, a lot of people liked using for 40k. So it's not exactly a fair enough excuse. GW just ended up doing what we all knew they were going to do eventually. Just, it took them for some reason an extremely long amount of time to phase out the fucking Firstborn Marines. We all knew they were going to do it when Primaris were introduced. They just waited a long fucking ass time. And I still stand by my opinion that the reason it took them so long was because they simply didn't want to admit that's what they were going to end up doing. Like, the whole community called it when Primaris were launched, that, okay, you guys are planning on getting rid of Firstborn Marines. And they're like, well, no, that's an assumption you're making. We're not going to do that. And then they, just to try and prove a point, refused to do it for, like, several years. And now, after so long, they're finally like, okay, maybe most people won't call it now. And won't remember. So now if we do it, we'll be fine. Problem is they're doing basically all of it at once. Like, in a 3-month span, we went from, like, it started with us just all of a sudden losing all box dread and stern guard vets. Fast forward 3 months, we then lose basically the rest of the firstborn range. Which is why it annoys me when I talk to some people about it, and they're like, oh yeah, they just, you know, yeah, we all knew they were going to do it. They just decided to do it steadily. They were going to remove the model. They decided to remove the models steadily. Well, it wasn't steady. Like, they didn't touch him at all for years after introducing Primaris, and then out of nowhere, they get rid of all the box dreads and the stern guard vets. Then fast forward, and in that, they promised that this wasn't telling of things to come with getting rid of the rest of the range. And then fast forward 3 months, and it's a giant fuck you, and then all of a sudden, 99% of the Firstborn Marine kits are wiped out completely, with like 1 or 2 kits being left alone. It wasn't like the people who kept saying that line of like oh yeah, they just ended up doing it gradually or steadily or some variation of over time play. No, they just didn't do anything with them for years, and then all of a sudden, pretty much all of them at once. That is the opposite of steady or gradual. Well, to be fair, there was a last chance to buy Shadow Fox. It was a very brief period of last chance to buy, though. And even then, last chance to buy, it was last chance in the sense of they still had stock of these things. So they were like, hey, if you want to buy them up now. Because once they're out of stock, they're out of stock. It's not like they had like, okay, this is a period of time we're still going to be manufacturing them after this announcement. Once that ends, we stop manufacturing. No, it was last chance to buy of, we still have some in stock. Buy them up while we have them, and then they're going to be gone forever. Or at least for the foreseeable future. They might end up doing what they're doing with World right now and bring them back eventually. Probably not in this case, but at least definitely not soon. If at all. I don't know. It just makes me twinge because people I genuinely like in the community kept saying that to me. Like, oh yeah, they just ended up doing it gradually. It's like, no. Again, that is not the correct term. This is not gradual. They did nothing for years and then out of nowhere did everything all at once. That is not gradual. That is a carefully planned out, waited for assassination strike. I would not describe that as gradual. Sorry, feel free to call me too anal about terminology and wording, but that just, again, it just annoyed me. Like, so many people were saying something akin to that. It's like, hey, that nuclear bomb that just went off. Yeah, that was gradual. Oh, yeah, totally. The recovery was gradual, for sure, but yeah, it going off, no. And I watched every video he's down on 40k lore, and now I'm hooked. You're only just getting hooked to Arch? I mean, I recommend to anybody who hasn't seen Arch's stuff, check him out. I think Arch and I definitely deliver. Like, I only have one example of long form lore in my defense. He's got like dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of videos on lore now. Not just for 40k, but across Warhammer in general. But just using my one example of long form lore versus his, I definitely go for more of a storyteller approach. Like, I am a narrator talking to you guys. I am acting like I'm presenting to an audience, right? Like, that is how I present 40k lore in my long form lore video. Which, by the way, if anyone wants to check out, right on the channel page, if you go there and you're not subscribed, it should be the channel trailer. But if you are subscribed, fear not. Just simply go to the video section. If you scroll down far enough, look for Warhammer 40k lore, and it's the War in Heaven. I covered that a while back, and it's the same exact style of the current lore video I'm working on, which is I'm working on the Black Templar video, which is going to take a while to make. But if you've seen my War in Heaven video, you should see why they take a while to make. They are not simple videos that I do. I put a lot of hours into writing, a lot of hours into research. It's a lot. Black Templars was easier to write because I'm such a fan of Black Templars. They're my favorite Loyalist faction. And they're my second favorite faction overall, so... For me, it was mostly just confirming what I already knew when I went to double check stuff for my research. Saying like, okay, I remember it being this. Is this correct? Checked it. Yes. Okay, cool. You know, and just going back and forth. I did actually learn something new for the Black Templars while I was doing my research, though. But I won't reveal that here. You guys will see it in the video. I'm a fan for Voldemort for that reason. Yeah, but Voldemort and I think, are more along the lines than me and Arch are in terms of our delivery. Arch presents it kind of like a PowerPoint presentation, not to imply boring, like that they're boring. No, it like he still makes them entertaining. He has like his characteristic smarm/charm. I'd say he's very like, you know, hey, this is point A, point B, point C, point D. This is like all the, you know, analytical data, the logistics of how this works. If you're looking for raw information, Arch is the way to go. I would argue me, Voldemort, and I think that's it for off the top of my head examples. But me or Voldemort, me only for the War in Heaven at the moment, and Voldemort for across the board. For like more of a presentation, like a storyteller speaking to an audience. If you're looking for that kind of presentation of 40k lore, check out Voldemort and hopefully me in the future as primary examples. But again, I'm still working on mine at the moment, and mine are pretty chunky projects. So There's a lot of editing. There's a lot of writing. There's a lot to what I do. So, yeah. Love Arch. Love A Border Prince. I haven't chatted with A Border Prince in a while. Hope he's doing okay. I haven't checked in with him. I love Asmo. Yes. Love me Warhammer. Love me Emperor. Simple as. Indeed. Yeah, man. Actually, who here in chat has seen my long form lore video? Out of curiosity. I have my In a Nutshell series as well, but that's more comedic. Paris and Havoc have both seen it. Besides it exists, I watched a bit of it. I don't Warhammer, so most of it confused me. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Jenny. But I'm glad at least you saw it. Well, saw that it exists. I don't know of it. Haven't seen it yet. Okay. That's fine. I'd love to see someone do lore vids on my old Aurora Marines. So are those like homebrew, or are you like Aurora? Is that like an actual chapter? Because off the top of my head, I don't know a chapter called Aurora. But anyway, for those who've seen, you know, my long form lore video, what did you guys think? Obviously, like a lengthy review, you don't have to give, but like just like your thoughts, whether it's the editing, whether it's the presentation. You know, what did you think of my way of presenting 40k lore? I'm curious. You dry? Kind of. It looks a little chalky. I know the wash will clean that up a bit, but still. Maybe do another layer. I don't like doing 3 layers. Sorry, why are my nails kind of chipping? Gotta love it when that happens. New off-road stuff is great. Yeah, love to hear it. Definitely enjoy the more narrative presentation than straight lore. It gives you more show and less tell, I suppose. I mean, it's all tell, but you know, I know what you mean. Curious question: old crons or new crons? Well, it depends on what we mean by old. If you mean old as in the very first rendition of them, I would say new crons. Like, I like the more fleshed out lore of the current Necrons. Like I don't like new, like super new Necron lore. Because super new Necron lore completely rewrote the War in Heaven. And also, therefore, by extension, the whole 40k universe is being very much a preordained setting. Like, everything is going to happen as it was meant to happen, and nothing was preventable, nothing was... You know, stuff like that was introduced, I want to say semi-recently, like a couple years ago. And I reject that entirely. I don't acknowledge it as existing. Like, I really hate what they did with that. But if we're talking new Necrons as in, like... I want to say 8th edition, you know, Necrons between start of 9th and back all the way back to like 6th edition or 7th edition Necrons. I'd say like that gap of editions in time. for lore and stuff, I'd say that is my preferred Necron era. Keep in mind, I don't collect. I have actually quite a few collected, but they're not like an army I've actually taken time to assemble and paint. I got the Indominus box, which is right there. And that box is full, by the way, completely of all the Necron stuff. So, by all accounts, I should probably go through that at some point. But World Eaters is the focus at the moment. I don't want to deviate. If I start deviating, I will deviate hard. I do it a lot. Alright. So, I continue applying the flesh tune elsewhere. Yeah, that arm. Oh, shit.
Damn it all!
I reject your reality and substitute my own. Adam from Mythbusters. Indeed. It is still a great line to quote. Although I think he got that from something else. Not sure. I could be wrong there. So I'm not gonna. I don't know. I think that it is also, that quote is also used elsewhere. I'm trying to think where though. And now the rains we bore in, with no one left to hit. I don't know why the Rains of Castamere of all songs popped into my head. Brain, are you trying to tell me something? Homeless Stone, how you doing? How's it going? Quick hypothetical. Jiddu calls you up and they want you to handle the lore side of Fulgrim's return. What is your ideal setup? Well, I would take the already established clone of Fulgrim, which we know is in Trazen's collection. Or would have him escape, and or have Trazen let him loose, which probably would never happen. But depending on the circumstances, Trazen might let him loose, potentially. Unlikely again. So probably escape. And for the Chaos Fulgrim, I would also have him enter the scene with a whole warband of Emperor's children, of course, and back into the field of battle. Probably, weirdly enough, in support of Angron. Not more support of circumstance, whereas less support of actual direct, like, hey, brother, I am here specifically to help you right now. No, especially given their deities are very much opposing. It would be more circumstantial. Like, he would re-enter the scene to further push back against... further push back against the Imperium, which is now getting much stronger due to the return of Lionel Johnson, and with Gilliman in the scene. Both of them playing major roles into now pushing back against Chaos. He would probably be sent forth by Slaanesh and start fucking with shit. So he'd jump in the scene, support Angron by circumstance, again, not directly, and they'd probably end up fighting each other to an extent. So while that's happening, Loyalist Fulgrim is now on the loose. And I'd say for dramatic effect, and to keep in line with the grimdark setting, I would have a tragic moment happen where after there is a major battle with lots of losses and sacrifice between Angron, Fulgrim, the Lion, and Gilliman. Gilliman and the Lion successfully stave off both of them. Not really beating them, but staving them off. Like, more or less the fight ended in the closest to a draw that can happen between Chaos and the Loyalists. Probably with the planet being destroyed and them both going their separate ways. And Fulgrim will have found his way to them and would have requested an audience after being, captured by Astartes, which would probably also want to kill him. but they would capture him as he is not resisting. He'd be presented before Gilliman and the lion. Again, capture in air quotes, not actually captured, but more or less just he's going to his brothers because that is what he knows, and he believes he can directly implore them and convince them of his quality, and that he is not his corrupted variant. Well, I'm trying to remember if Loyalist clone Fulgrim knew he was a clone. Can't remember if he knew. Running off the assumption he knew he was a clone of his real self, or original self, I should say. He would present himself as such, and after imploring both of them extensively, Gilliman, I think, would consider it as a viable truth. And he would know that Chaos would be experimenting with stuff. He would know that he would know of Fabius Bile, no doubt. So I think Gilliman would be cautious, but hopeful. I think the lion would immediately call for the clone to be destroyed. And be eradicated. Any Fulgrim versus Ynnari action? Probably, but only after I'd address like the Imperial or Imperium specific like attributes to the story. It'd probably be after the breakaway from a fight between himself, the lion, and Gilliman. I'd have that happen after that. Because I think it's always thematically appropriate and crucial that the Chaos confront the Imperium directly first, and then like have them break away and like do some shenanigans with other factions, such as the Ynnari. The reason is troll, it's not impossible. Yeah. I mean, as much as we troll about that trolling, it's not impossible, but it's unlikely. Like, once something's added to his collection, the guy's a hoarder, and he's a bit of an autist. So he probably wouldn't let him, he would not let the Loyalist clone go very easily. So I'd say probably after being held for questioning. This is where I kind of would have two ideas, and again, you're asking me to spitball this off the top of my head, so it's a little harder to give the exact parameters of what I would do. But this is where I'd have like a branching choice. One, to keep in line with the grimdark themes of 40k. While he's being imprisoned under Gilliman's orders, I would have the lion execute him. Like, the lion would go to the Loyalist Fulgrim and kill him. Pretty much right under Gilliman's nose. I don't know if... I'd probably have him do it stealthily. As stealthily as a Primarch can. Sneak around a ship. He'd go down and he'd kill him. Gilliman would find out. He would question around the ship. I don't know if the lion would, you know, out and about say, "It was me, brother." Probably not. You know, the lion's a bit of an asshole. Very much of a stubborn douche in his own right. But I don't think he's arrogant, and he's definitely known to be deceptive in his own right, especially when it conveniences him. So I'd say he probably wouldn't come out and say, like, "Hey, brother, yes, I did it." But I think Gilliman, as much as I hate Gilliman, I do think he's smart enough to conclude it after some investigation and would confront the lion. And I think that I would use that as a stepping off point for a potential civil war. And as it is, we should already be getting a Civil War arc with what's already available for lore for confrontation material between the two of them. There is plenty the lion should by all accounts, blame Gilliman for. Like, the state of the Imperium that it's currently in, let alone the Space Marine specifically. that is all his fucking fault. Like, entirely. Without question, it is Gilliman's fault where the Imperium is at currently. So, I think, regardless of what I'm saying right now, the writers of Black Library should already be setting up a Civil War arc. With the Lion being back and seeing, basically, Gilliman's Imperium. But, regardless, for me as a personal writer, I would use that situation with the Loyalist Fulgrim having come back and the Lion not simply just not wanting to take the risk and not trusting it would kill the clone. And see it as just another potential secondary layer of corruption that is bound to happen from the Chaos Gods. Like, if Fulgrim fell once, he'll fall again, I think would be the Lion's logic. So even if this new one did come to us as faithful by all presenting accounts, may even believe it himself, he's got the capacity to fall, so he can't be trusted. Just accidentally heisted by the Blood Ravens. Yeah, I'm talking like a serious answer over here, and then the rest of y'all are like, yeah, fucking Blood Ravens are sneaking in. They like take his, like Trajan turns off the light at the museum, hears shuffling, turns it on. It turns the light on, and Fulgrim clone is gone. And he's like, what the fuck? Looks around, and then just holding like deadly still is a single Blood Raven, just like. And Jason's like, ah! And they just, like, the Blood Ravens run the fuck out with clown music. Ah, yes, the space gypsies. The Blood Ravens. If not the Lion, definitely could see Trajan pulling the execution trigger. So I would, again, point is, I would see it as a jumping off point for a civil war. Now, I don't think that alone, again, I think that there's enough material without the Fulgrim thing for there to be a civil war right now. The Lion, by all accounts, should be blaming Gilliman for a lot of the fuck shit. And the fact that GW, as far as I've seen so far, haven't presented that element into the writings yet is an issue to me. Because to me, it shows that the current Black Library staff do not know what they're writing. And they don't know the character of the Lion very well. Because he would not just fall in line with Gilliman, with how the Imperium has evolved, or devolved by all accounts. Nah, a lot of this, there should be a lot of eternal strife right now between Gilliman and the Lion. And we should see that being another... The thing is, even if you're not a fan of the grimdark elements of 40k, which I don't even know why you're a fan of 40k if you're not, but even if you're not, like that element isn't really drawing you in, you have to love the drama of it. Like the Greek tragedy almost that it is. That the Lion's personality and like just the scars of his past and the way he already was as a person, just coming into the scene, seeing what's happened, it being the direct fault of his brother, who by all accounts was trying to do good, supposedly, but seeing how it's all gone to shit and made things only ever worse. I think it would go terribly. I think the Lion by all accounts should be fighting with Gilliman right now. If not verbally, definitely physically. The Lion would not take well to how the Imperium has fallen because of Gilliman. So I hate the idea that the Lion would fall in line behind Gilliman. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. The Lion was already a very abrasive person on his own right. He was already very stubborn in his own right. Seeing him just accept Gilliman's Imperium and following him, it's not what he would do. Now, granted, the Lion would potentially not do a direct confrontation with Gilliman off the bat. He might strategically be like, all right, I'll pretend to play along for right now, but I'm going to present some issues to you, and I'm going to work my way up to it. And if you respond the wrong way, I'm going to establish things the way I want. For if we do break off into a brief civil war, I win. Now, keep in mind, when I say civil war, it would be primarily between the Lion and Gilliman and their Astartes factions. Not saying the Imperial Guard wouldn't be involved, nor the Administratum, nor the Ecclesiarchy. They probably would. But I think it would be contained somewhat to an all-out, like the whole of the Imperium is now picking a side between the two. That would be interesting and awesome fucking melodrama. But I don't think it would be so open-ended. I think most of the Imperium would still be focused on the outward issues. Lots of the other Astartes chapters would stay out of it as well. Again, like the Black Templars, for example, I don't think they should get involved in such a conflict. They should continue their Eternal Crusade, continue fighting the Xenos, the Heretic, the Witch, across all the worlds, especially in the outer fringes of Imperial space. I do think it would be more contained of a civil war, but I do think there should be a conflict directly between the Lion and Gilliman. Do you think that Jedi would ever get rid of the Emperor, like finally let him die? Well, the Imperium would never let him die, so I think it's fine. I think it's fine if GW don't write that in, at least for a long time to come. If they do, again, that should happen towards the very end of 40k. Like, if they let him die, like that should be the wolf time. That should be the time when Russ promised he'd come back. The final fight. The great apocalypse arriving. End times for 40k, effectively. Which I hope they don't do, because they fucked up the end times for fantasy. Why would I want them to do that for 40k? But I digress. Like, again, keyword should be setting up for a Civil War arc. It should be, but they're not. As far as I've seen, that they're not setting that up, and they, by all accounts, should. Because again, it would just be so good. It would be a great bit of storytelling. They could resolve it between Gilliman and Lion without either of them dying. And it would help reinforce the Grimdark identity, because right now the anti-Grimdark thing to do with the Lion having returned is just have him fall in line. Have him just conveniently be like, okay, Gilliman, yeah, you fucked up the entire Imperium and ruined everything and made sure that everything we fought to help build up would assuredly die. And because you were taking a fucking stasis nap for so long, everything, not that I was doing much better, but because of that, the Imperium has completely fallen into dogmatic bullshit. Everything we fought against and everything the Emperor didn't want. So, yeah, fuck you. But I'm gonna fall in line magically. Nah, that's doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense for Lion as a character. Doesn't make any sense for the setting. It doesn't make any sense at all for everything that they've established. It just doesn't feel right. Because if they just have him back and fall in line, it's just at that point, why bother with like the grimdark element to the setting? It's just, well, everything's gonna start magically working out for everybody. Why don't we all start getting the rainbows out, getting all the unicorns out, and all start dancing in a circle and singing Kumbaya. The Imperium become friends with the Tau officially and official allies. The Ecclesiarchy just apologizing to everyone and saying, hey, we should all just hug each other, as opposed to like choking people out and killing them for being heretics. And might as well, if you're just gonna have the Lion come back and the only consequence is, oh, the Imperium is now stronger and therefore getting better. Ugh. And we all know the meta reason why GW brought the Lion back. They brought him back for money. Like, they knew the fan base was craving another Primarch's return. They knew people were super, like, up their own butts about that a little bit. So, like, yeah, we'll bring the Lion back. He's probably the least crazy one to bring back. For consequences, anyway. We'll bring him back. Everything will be all hunky-dory, and we'll sell a lot of models. And that's the meta reason why they brought him back. But lore-wise, they need Black Library writers to do their fucking job. Inquisition hisses. No, still a failure. The Imperium lost Cadia, gained 2 Primarchs. Abaddon remains Mr. 13 failures. Yeah, I already thought Cadia was... Well, technically speaking, it depends. The goal of the Crusade, the goal of the Black Crusades, is to destroy the Imperium. So, by default, they've all failed, including the 13th. Because, though the 13th had a victory in the fall of Cadia, they did have a win. The goal of the Crusade was not to destroy Cadia. And that was their narrow, specific goal with that particular mission. But the overall Crusade's goal, each of the 13th Black Crusades, each Black Crusade, what is its goal? To stabilize and destroy the Imperium. Now, they kind of succeeded with destabilization with Cadia, but it immediately failed to have a lasting effect. Because all it did was rally the Imperium, so it didn't really destabilize shit. And to have lasting damage or to destroy the Imperium, it also failed. So, grand scheme-wise, yes, it is 13 straight failures. But, to give him his due, he succeeded in his specific goal of that particular crusade of destroying the Cadia. It wasn't the goal of the overall crusade. It never is. But it is a victory and an accomplishment out of a slew of fucking failures. And given the fact that he is Mr. 13 Losses, I'm still pissed that he succeeded in killing Sigismund. I still hate that. Don't get me wrong, Sigismund's death was handled expertly. I will give ADB some fucking credit. He portrayed Sigismund correctly in his death. That was appropriate and correct for the character and for 40k. I still hate the fact that it was Abaddon who fucking killed him. Like, I would have preferred it if Sigismund had died at the hands of any of the Chaos Primarchs. Would have felt a lot better. Abaddon, of all people, that bitch killed Sigismund, the Night King, the Head Templar, the High Marshal, the man who built the most awesome Astartes chapter. Died at the hands of a fucking twat waffle who couldn't successfully destroy the Imperium after 12 goddamn more attempts after that. Let alone that time. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Homostone. I would have killed for Sigismund Karn round 2. Yes. And one thing I think they should have written in, maybe not necessarily in that same novel, but somewhere, Karn should have lamented hearing that Abaddon killed Sigismund. Like, lamented it. For those who don't know the detailed lore about Sigismund, he was part of the Imperial Fist. He was the first captain of the Imperial Fist. The right-hand man to Rogel Dorn. It was his favored son and his direct adjutant. That was Sigismund. But don't let him be Imperial Fist deceive you, for he was an offensive specialist. The few, if any, could match the prowess of Sigismund. To his skill and ability, not to mention track record, was so amazing the Emperor himself named him his champion during the Siege of Terra, and adorned him with the most powerful relics and weapons he could give him. And Sigismund was sent out to kill the lead lieutenants and captains, and basically headhunt the enemy at the door as a just death wrecking ball on legs throughout the siege. And he did so with gusto. But even before that, Sigismund was a very capable fucking warrior. Few, if any, could match his skill in battle. And Karn, of the World Eaters, Karn being the World Eaters' first, well, at the time I don't think he was. Well, anyway, Karn, the Betrayer, one of the most iconic fighters, one of the most zealotous fighters in all of 40k history. And he only ever fought Sigismund to a standstill. He didn't beat him. Again, he taught Sigismund the trick of wrapping a chain around your arm to your weapon. He taught him that. They were never buddies, so I can't say he taught his friend that, but he taught Sigismund to wrap a chain around his arm connected to his weapon so he couldn't be disarmed. Well, unless you literally disarmed him. And yeah, Sigismund, I'm trying to remember the exact track record. I know Sigismund beat Karn on several occasions, but during like duels and stuff. This is before the heresy. I can't remember if they actually squared off during the heresy. I'm pretty sure they did. I'm just trying to remember the occasions. But I know pre-heresy they dueled, but inner legion like training sessions and combat runs and just tournaments and stuff. I know Sigismund and Karn squared off numerous times, and usually they ended up in a draw, if I recall correctly. Or Sigismund won most of the time. That's how capable of a warrior Sigismund was. He could lay Karn low in 1v1 without using I almost said a rhino again, but it's not a without using a tank with. Actually, it was a rhino. It was a rhino, if I'm recalling correctly. It just had like that thing on the front. But I'm referencing in Horus Rising where Karn got impaled on the front of a tank after he was dueling with Gavio Loken, and Loken just sidestepped and let him run past and get impaled on one of his own vehicles. Still the most unintentional. It's supposed to be like serious, and the situation is extremely serious. It's what's happening in Isfahan 5. No, this is Isfahan 3, because Isfahan 5 is a drop site massacre, I'm pretty sure. It's Isfahan 3. It's still so fucking funny. But anyway, that's Sigismund. Sigismund is that capable of a warrior that he's able to lay Karn, one of the most savage, brutal fighters, low. And he was killed by fucking Abaddon. Now, yes, I know Sigismund was older when he fought Abaddon. Abaddon didn't age a day because of the powers of the warp and chaos and all that bullshit. And in that time, Sigismund had aged over 500 years. Like, Sigismund was an old Astartes by the time the first Black Crusade came through the warp and the Black Templars faced off against them. And even then, even in his old age, Sigismund was able to he did lay Abaddon low. Even though Sigismund was in standard Ceramite armor for a Space Marine, whereas Abaddon was wearing Terminator plate. Even with that in mind, Sigismund was able to bury his power sword to the hilt through Abaddon's chest and completely stopped his ability to breathe Like one of the coolest deliveries if you've read the book. Which I'm in. I have it on my watch list. So hard. Hold on. I had it on my list. Black Legion. So the Black Legion book for Warhammer 40k. It's by Aaron Dembski Bowden, or ADB. That's the book I'm referencing. That's the one that goes over Sigismund's death at the hand of Abaddon. And when Abaddon is retelling his memory of that event, he's one of the first things he says is he just wouldn't die. So I hate ADB most of the time. The guy's a bit of a prick, but to give him credit, he wrote this dead on and well. I gotta give him credit. He wrote this well. But, you know, Abaddon's just recollecting in horror how Sigismund was just refused to fucking die. Like, they squared off. Sigismund and him fought. And even though, by all accounts, Abaddon had every advantage in the book. He was physically younger due to being frozen in time by the powers of the warp. He had Terminator plate, and he had equipped Gilliman. He had equipped Horus's fucking claw. Like that big ass fucking claw that had laid multiple Primarchs low. And even with that, Sigismund buried his power sword to the hilt when fighting Abaddon. Sadly, Abaddon was able to rally himself after being impaled all the way through his fucking chest in Terminator plate, and was able to disembowel Sigismund. But even after that, Sigismund still held on and said, "Fuck you." He didn't literally say that, but he might as well have. He said, "Fuck you." He then tried to reach for the sword again to further bury it into his chest. It was already hilt deep of a two-handed sword. And he was trying to stab Abaddon more, even though his guts were all and intestines were spread across the flight deck. That is the man I am referencing at the moment. Goddamn. I hate that Abaddon was the one to kill him. It should have... I was happy with how Sigismund went with all that, but I'm sad that Karn and him never got to square off again. And it would have been so good. Not like I think I'm fine with how it went, but it would have been so good if they had just at some point mentioned that Karn's reaction to the news way back when. Like, have maybe not Karn necessarily remember, have another World Eater who's been around that long remember Karn's reaction to hearing that Sigismund had been killed by Abaddon. Like the anger that Karn should have expressed, like killing numerous of his own men around him in a flight of rage, which is nothing new, but in a flight of rage, just pissed that he did not get the opportunity to not only fight Sigismund again, but didn't get the opportunity to be the one to kill him. To finally square off who between the two of them was the superior warrior. Oh, and that would have been so awesome if Karn had then held a grudge against Abaddon after that. But as far as I know, like, nothing's mentioned in terms of Karn's reactions to Sigismund's death. Like, Karn, like, nothing is mentioned in that regard, and I think that's a missed opportunity. I think that's definitely a missed opportunity. Big puts Karn down, turn the siege. Yeah, he kicks him off the walls, but he comes back. Yeah, it's Karn. He always comes back. Dude fighting near the end. Yeah. Karn and Sigismund killed each other. That would have been a cool way, and an appropriate way for Sigismund to go. But again, I don't think the way Sigismund went was bad. I think the way they handled it, like, again, what little credit I will give ADB, he handled Sigismund's death appropriately. And I also think of it in a grimdark sense, that it is a tragedy that Sigismund, such a great, powerful, and faithful warrior, such an amazing person and character in the 40k mythos, was killed and laid low, not by someone worthy of him, in my opinion, but by someone completely the opposite, who was unworthy to be the one to take his life. Unfortunately, that is definitely in line with 40k, though. Like, 40k is not a setting where people go out the way they should. They go out the way that, well, the only way that they really are meant to. Tragically. So, that is the nature of the setting, unfortunately and fortunately. So, I considered his death appropriate. Definitely would have preferred him to face off Karn, but can't always win. Oh, we'll take our losses. If I kill Abaddon, I'm greater than Sigismund. Grabs chain axe. And yeah, again, it would have been cool to see Karn like hold a grudge against Abaddon for being the one to take Sigismund's life. And for the daily fuck Erebus. Yeah, eternally fuck Erebus. Worst fucking... One of the best characters to hate in all of 40k, but such a fucking douchebag. Oh my god. Would have killed Sigismund v Karn round 2. Would have been great. It definitely would have been amazing to see them square off. Sigismund died like a Giga Chad? Yes, he did. He went out like that searing line he said to Abaddon. You will die as your weakling father died. And this is where I usually fuck up, because it's... Crap. Because I know it's like... Who dies as your weakling father died. Weeping, shamed. But there's something before weeping and ashamed. Damn it. It's such a good line. I hate that it's always that breakup part that slips my brain. Sigismund's final words. Last words. Alright, you will die as your weakling father died. Soulless, honorless, weeping, and shamed. So it's honorless, weeping, and shamed. Such a scathing line, but so appropriate, especially for Abaddon. For Sigismund to lay that on him. Spitting venom to the very fucking end. That was the true High Marshal of the Black Templars. And that's why in the lore video there's actually quite a bit of focus on him for part of it. Because I think a huge, massive chunk of the Black Templars get their identity from Sigismund. So in the lore video I've been working on, be prepared. A massive chunk of it is just going over Sigismund. A massive chunk of it is over Sigismund. Beginning if we can't friends, maybe Karn can be the one to finally cut off Abaddon's dumb top knot. Oh, that would be awesome, actually. Actually, after everything that Abaddon's done, or more aptly failed to fucking do in the lore, and how much I fucking hate his character, I don't hate it. I hate him more than Erebus in the sense that I hate Erebus because of lore reasons, but they're appropriate to his character. Like, he is written to be the ultimate fuck shit in the lore. Like, Erebus is meant to be hated for what he actually is as a character and who he is, which is awesome. Like, that's a well-written villain. I hate Abaddon for not the intended reasons you should hate him. I mean, some of those I hate him for, but mainly I hate him just because as a character he fucking sucks. Like, he's incredibly disappointing as a leader of chaos, as a villain. He's just kind of a villain of the week joke story, but one that constantly is on repeat. I don't know. I think overall he's a disappointment. And I would really not mind it if one of the Black Library writers just had the balls to write in that Angron or one of the other Primarchs, Chaos Primarchs, take over. I don't know, fucking Perturabo even. I would love it if Perturabo took over. And like, Abaddon shows up onto a flagship of a 14th Black Crusade. He's wondering why everyone else is there and was like asked to come, and he was summoned. Like, how dare he be summoned? He's the leader. He walks in, he sees Perturabo spouting off like he's in charge. Perturabo lays it out to him that he is in charge now and he's been replaced. Abaddon gets all fucking hot and bothered. He gets ready with his power claw to attack Perturabo. And before he can even make a move, Karn just casually comes up behind him and chainsaws his fucking head off. Just casually, and then keeps walking and listening to Perturabo. I'd even have Karn pacing back and forth. Like, that was done just sheerly out of annoyance and impatience, waiting for Perturabo to spout off the plan so Karn and his Khorne Berserkers could just, well, be Karn and his Berserkers. Just let him off the leash. 5 minutes to the end of the future? Ooh, 4 minutes now. 4 minutes till the new year for you, Pyrrhus.
You'll be into the future.
Heck, bring back Elephas, the inheritor, and let him do something inheriting. I mean, there's... Jeez, how many characters have they really just kind of fucked around with over the last few years? Quite a few. You know, you hate Abaddon as well. He's a terrible villain that is pushed too hard. He really is. He's just a Saturday morning cartoon villain at this point. Like, I'll get you next time, He-Man. That even Skeletor was more effective than fucking Abaddon has been. Abaddon has had no significant successes outside of the destruction of Cadia, and even then, that backfired. The whole, like, yeah, Cadia was lost. It was a huge blow initially. But all of the Imperium was rallied by it. Like, oh fuck, Cadia fell. Well, fuck that. Fuck Chaos. Let's go ham. Like, Abaddon was like, I've destroyed Cadia. One of your greatest stronghold worlds. One of your greatest contributors to the Imperial Guard. How does that make you feel? And the Imperium was like, oh god. You dirty bastard. Wait, what? You're not cowering in fear? Fuck you, we're gonna beat you bloody and senseless. Well, okay, why are you all getting pitchforks and torches? This is supposed to terrify you. Okay, stay back. What the fuck? Like, why is there a Primarch all of a sudden? What the fuck? He's running back to the Eye of Tower. This is bullshit! This isn't how it's supposed to work! Less than 1 minute till the new year for Pyrrhus of Epirus. Yeah. But the Chaos needs a better War Master if they're going to be an active threat that actually feels like one. Abaddon needs to be replaced. And I think Perturabo would be my choice, personally. Yep, here we go. And here we go. Oh, ow, wow. As soon as they said go, the clock changed. Woo! New Year! New Year! New Year! New Year! New Year! Happy New Year! Boy, here come the booms. Oh. Where he's singing Show Must Go On. That was pretty hilarious. I have not seen that. Really? Applying this flesh tone is going to drive me insane. It dries very quickly. It's like chalk. Oh, chalk, I guess, isn't wet, but you know what I mean. To be fair, Abby here, he did get himself a third Primarch at Acadia. Third. Explain? Could be I'm tired. My brain just completely short-circuited just now, but what? Oh. Okay, it got himself an Angron back in the mix. Okay. I get you. Okay. I see what you're putting down. Gotcha. I was confused by that. I was like, what? Shoot, I had Iron Hands somewhere, didn't I? Not as in like miniatures, like as the paint. Like I wanted to use the Iron Hands paint. I usually go with Lead Belcher, but I was gonna use Iron Hands for a lot of the components. I say a lot, a chunk of the components. Damn. Dammity damn. I don't remember where I put it. I guess I might have to default. I also just realized I missed 2 areas for red. I knew it was too good to be true. I knew I must have missed something.
That was something.
Yeah. Let me get those panels real quick before I forget. Your definition of charisma is very different from mine, my friend. Lorgar and charisma do not go in the same sentence.
Lorgar had the charisma.
Define charisma as in ear-bleedingly terrible, annoying preachiness. Then yes, he had the charisma. You've entered the future, indeed. About one can of. If I'm gonna need to do some correcting. Ugh. Good news is, once this Forge Fiend's out of the way, it's gonna look so fucking cool. Just get to it. What time is it? It's 2:09. Okay. Captain Caboose, how you doing? Happy New Year! Go to bed, you nit. I will eventually. When I feel up to it. Trying to make some more progress in this fucking off. I was hoping I would apply the washes. I have so many other bits I keep looking at that I'm like, oh, that's fleshy bits. Oh, that's fleshy bits too. Ah, shit, that's a fleshy bit. Chaos has so many details. These are very detail-heavy models. Like, it's fascinating seeing the contrast between these models and like this normal standard loyalist Space Marine models. Like, one is so vanilla by comparison. Chaos is so extra. It's like, hey, you know trim? Yeah, you know how it's supposed to just kind of complement and like punctuate stuff like the armor. Yeah, well, we're gonna go like fucking overboard as hell, and we're gonna make punctuation look like the fucking exclamation point that it is. And what is it exclaiming? Style. What did they found me? Let minis all the chaos dream. Must have been fucking Dracula there. Oh, the chaos dream. Ho ho ho. I am actually starting to feel a little bit of the Sandman starting to throw dust in my eyes. We've only been going 2.5 hours, but I guess it's almost 3 a.m. Alright. Well, I guess what I'll do, I'm not even going to clean up. I'm going to leave this on my desk the way it is, and probably pick back up tomorrow. Not in the early morning. I don't know. We'll see. Before we go, though, I've actually already started work on one of the Chaos Terminators that I also have. Well, one box of them. I have 2 boxes. This is just one of the samples. I already did the base. I actually manually, like, you can kind of see it right there in the feet. But before the base dried, I made sure to do an imprint of where he'd stand. And that way, when I paint the base and do all that separately, and also paint the model separately, once I'm ready to glue them together, it's already got a pre-placed segment that's all dry and set up for it. Nice and flat, easy to glue, it's going to look great. But it still allows me to also easily paint them separately and then easily put them together. So, I'm excited for that. I'm gonna do all my Chaos Terminators thusly. Sandman isn't nice to you. When he hits in the middle of the day with a baseball bat. Yeah, luckily I'm not hit with a baseball bat, but he hits me pretty hard. Excuse me. Alright, so before you guys head out, make sure to leave a like on the stream. It always helps, and I always appreciate the support. I hope anybody who watches the VOD of this enjoys the VOD. Hope to catch you on the next live stream. I'm trying to do these on a fairly regular basis. It helps keep focused on actually progressing my painting and getting miniatures done, and it also is fun and cool interacting with you guys. Helps, keep my community, feeling for 40k up and energized. Indeed. But I'm going to call it there. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you all had amazing drinks. Hope you all are safe and taking care of yourselves. Hope you guys are enjoying 40k. Hope you guys are enjoying each other's company. And that this new year brings much glory and victory to you. Whether it be small victories or large. Anyway. Night, everybody. Also subscribe if you're new to the channel. All that fun stuff.